for help for your food addiction and you don't know where to start? Welcome to this series, The Food Addiction Frontlines, where we uncover the expertise and services available for overcoming food addiction. I'm Dr. Vera Tarman, an addictions physician specializing in sugar and ultra-processed food addiction, here to introduce you to the professionals making a difference in this field. In each 15-minute episode, we'll meet leading experts in this field. They will share their journey, their training, and the unique services they provide for all those who struggle with food addiction. So let us help you find the treatment that is best for you. And you can find information about our guest today in the show notes. So today we speak with Monica Boyer. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Vera.
Let's start off with how you got interested in working in the field of food addiction.
Yes. So my story is interesting in the fact that I found out I was a food addict after I lost 130 pounds. My journey took me through a year of just almost a self torment of weight loss because I knew I was in a desperate state. I knew that I needed to change, but I didn't have the tools to fix it. And so after I lost the weight, I discovered I started helping other women do the same thing that I had done, and I found it to be a cycle of wins and fails when it comes to weight loss, and I couldn't put my finger on why until I discovered it is much deeper than the scale. It has everything to do with being addicted to food. And when I found that tool, it changed my practice.
What kind of training do you have in food addiction specifically?
I am trained as a ketogenic certified coach. So I got the foundational coaching on how to eat and how to put your body into ketosis, which really helped spur on my push to become an intermittent fasting coach. I brought in those kinds of principles. But again, I couldn't find that secret tool to keep the clients on the path. And that's when I discovered the HMA certification, the Holistic Medicine of Addiction certification. And that was the completion of my puzzle that has just put the icing on top of the cake of treatment and how to set women and people free from this thing called food addiction.
Tell us about the specific services that you provide, both the one-on-one and the group. And I know you have a program.
I have an food addiction recovery center, and it's all online. Basically, what I do is I take clients for 18 months. When I first opened my practice, I'm like, oh, I need to create an affordable place where they can come get the tools and leave. Found out very quickly that does not work. I need a client for 12 months or over. My most successful clients that are in remission now, I've had them for 2 years. And that is because of the accountability. You can do anything for 6 weeks, right? What do they say? You can do anything for 90 days. It is when you bring in life. And my passion is weaving my treatment in with real life. You cannot operate your life in general out in the public every day if you don't know how to use those tools of healing that we give you in those situations. You're going to fall the first social outing that you have. And so I need a client for 18 months to be really successful. We take them through a really dramatic 90 days of a food plan. Because as Vera, the first thing you have to do in recovery is get rid of the drug.
Okay.
I don't care what's happening in the social life. I focus on one thing only, and that's getting rid of the drug. When we can get rid of the drug, then we can begin working on why we're addicted. Then we can start to dig in closer and closer to the actual root of the symptoms. And so 18 months is typically how long I like to have my clients. After 18 months, they're with me for life. So those guys just get put into my group. It's one-on-one coaching for the first 12 months, and then we go into group. Now they have group for the whole 18 months, but I'm one-on-one weekly working with the client for a year. And then we go into group and we have a support group. I use the 12 steps every week for 18 months. It's intense. It's very intense.
What would you say is unique about what you provide? What is a particular strength that you have?
My uniqueness brings in women. So my specialty is coaching perimenopause, menopause women. Those women are unseen. Here in America, they've raised their kids. They have struggled with food addiction their entire lives without even knowing it. They're Typically, they're overweight. Not all of them, but typically they're overweight. They're struggling with prediabetes. They're struggling with an identity crisis. And those women come to me and they're like, they think they're coming to me for weight loss. Most clients come to me on the basis of weight loss. They think that their problem is weight loss. And if I could just lose the weight, then I will be better. I'll be whole again. The problem with that is it's not about the weight, it's about the addiction. It's about their brains being broken and altered from a chemical standpoint of food. And so my passion is letting these women find freedom again. They come to me broken and they're desperate. And I love when they come to me desperate because they're willing to do anything. Not many people on diets are willing to do anything. They're like, just give me a shot, give me a pill, something. The women that come to me are desperate and they understand that it's much deeper than a diet. And so I let them come into my weight loss program, but then we alter that path and we say, okay, can we be honest? And can we talk about the potential of a food addict? I want to try everything. I use all of the weight loss tools with them. They all fail. And then they quit the program. When they come back to me, I say, are you ready to perhaps introduce the words food addiction or carbohydrate addiction? When they come back, then they're like, I've tried everything else. I'm ready to do whatever you say, coach.
So you provide a food plan and then
Mhm.
you provide coaching. Now, the food plan, you mentioned that you started from the keto world. Is that
Mhm.
really your food plan? Is a keto low carb restriction?
It really is. That has been my winner of a plan, and I think it's because, number 1, it's delicious. They don't have to go on a diet food, they don't have to take a bar or a pill or a shot. It's real whole foods. We take them through a detox period. I take my food addiction clients on a longer detox, and before we even experiment, I strip everything out. It is not a fun plan in the diet world industry, but I strip everything from them for 90 days. And so for me, it is all carbohydrates. It looks a lot like carnivore. We throw some veg in there. I throw some coconut oil and I throw some L-glutamine in there. Nothing sweet to the mouth at all for 90 days, including berries, including the whole foods. It's very strict. Then I'm at a point where I can work with the client on, we get into some of the emotions, we get into some of the experiment. Can you handle berries? Can you handle, and we start adding things back in one at a time for about 21 days. That's why I need them for 18 months because I add these things in one at a time for a long period of time because the red dog is very tricky. The red dog likes to tell that client, hey, you're doing fine with just that one bite. This time it's going to be different. And so the red dog is very patient. He is very patient. And so he'll work with a berry for a couple of weeks. I had a client the other day who decided that she wanted to try that. We got down to the end of the day, and this client had 3 pints of strawberries. And she was like, "Oh my gosh, that's what it means to relapse." But I said, "I'm so glad it happened with me because now we can work with, okay, you can't handle strawberries." I had another client the same day who had an apple. She didn't even think it twice about it. She could handle that. So we get to the point, and that's what the benefit of working with me one-on-one is we get to try those things, but you don't go through it alone. We
Okay.
try it together.
What happens if when you strip away those in such a sparse program, you uncover some mental health issues? How do you deal with dual diagnosis?
Yeah, and it is not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. As I lost 130 pounds, I needed therapy because I believe anybody who loses over 25 to 30 pounds, I believe therapy is needed. With my addiction clients, is we don't bring that in for at least 6 months because that red dog is so conniving and smart. He has a heyday with that therapist. He will tell that therapist anything she wants to hear. And by the time, and I've had this happen with clients before, by the time that client is finished with the therapist, she's back to Dairy Queen. He's back to Dairy Queen. He's getting ice cream at the end of the day because he has been so brilliant in his speaking to the therapist. So it's just a matter of when we do therapy because I want them all to have therapy.
Are you doing the therapy or are you referring them out?
I refer them out. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I'm not a counselor. I don't play one on the internet.
Okay. What would you say are some limitations about what you do?
Some of the limitations are a client who is not willing to address food addiction, who has bought into the lie of intuitive eating. There's no such thing as food addiction. I don't know who said it. I think it was Bitten Johnson who said, "We're the last house on the block when it comes to treatment." Not a lot of people believe in food addiction. The other thing that I struggle with a little bit is defining emotional eating and connecting it with food addiction. A lot of my food addicts are also emotional eaters, and so that takes just a little bit more planning on my coaching side to say, when do we deal with the emotional eating versus dealing with the chemical addiction? So I think that's probably my strongest point. Now, I'm going to tell you another really big struggle is the battle between weight loss and food addiction.
Mm.
Because people, including myself, I remember saying when I was 272 pounds, I remember saying, if I just get this body fat off of my body, I promise I will never put it on again. I promise. And so the struggle of working with a client who just wants to lose the weight and is desperate to lose the weight versus healing. My food addiction treatment center is much different than my weight loss program. I need them for 18 months because I need to go slowly with them. If I jumped in with weight loss, they would judge their success by that scale. And then I have failed as a coach. So I need them to slow down. I do not get my food addiction clients macros for at least 6 months. And eventually they might need them. But making the clients, helping the clients understand why we're not moving quickly and why I don't care about what that scale says at first, that's probably my most difficult factor in my practice.
How do you involve family members or other support systems in your program?
Yes. I have a really tough conversation. In fact, we just finished up with group a few minutes ago, and that was the topic of the day. How do I do this thing alone? I prepare my client mentally at the front of the journey. You may not have support by your family. I need you to have grit. I need you to depend on the group because we have a weight loss and addiction support group, the 12-step group. And I need you to depend on me to come pour truth into your life because at home you may not have it. I have them have very tough conversations with family members that they live with, small group members, church members. If they're going to be with this group more than twice, I say it's time to have a hard conversation. And it's time to put boundaries up around your weight loss journey, around your food addiction journey that can't be torn down. Have that tough conversation. When you go to Bible study and you're going to be with them more than 2 weeks, I need you to have a tough conversation of gentle, loving. I need you. I'm asking you to support me. You don't have to provide food for me. I will provide it for myself, but this is why I choose to eat the way I do. If it's a business meeting that they'll only see them once, I give them the tools that they need for that one time and little things that they can do, knowing what their triggers, what their weak spots are, how to put things on your plate so that nobody knows what you're doing. How to be a keto chameleon is what I call it. So it depends on how long that person's going to be in their life, is the direct treatment that I give. And I also work with their families as well. They're welcome to come to group as well. And I encourage that because then they can get a sense of what the coach is saying. Why can't she have berries? Didn't God make berries? Why can't she have it? And sometimes it's easier to explain to the spouse.
Working in the field of food addiction, I call it front lines because it is like being in the front lines. So,
Mhm.
how do you take care of yourself working in this field, which can
Yeah.
be exasperating?
Yes. My name is Monica Boyer and I'm a food addict. And that's my first line. And I go through the 12 steps with my clients. I'm a person of faith. And so each time that I work with a client, I pray for them and I ask God to show me what it was like when I was so sick. Because right now, after losing 130 pounds, I feel incredible. But my journey has not changed since when I first started. And so I want to empathize with my client. I want to remember what it felt like to struggle getting out of bed, what that client feels. Now that has backfired on me because it has made me overwhelmed as a coach. And I've had to do some resets as a coach of, okay, Monica, you got to get out of the pit just a little bit. You got to remember what freedom is like. And so the short answer to your question is I walk through the 12 steps with them. I walk through the pit with them.
But just
And
you mentioned the 12 steps. What do you do for people who are like just not interested in 12 steps?
they are not a fit for my program because that's what works. I have the numbers behind my practice to know what works and what doesn't. And typically, if I have somebody who says that's not for me, and I'm very careful because not everybody is a person of faith and it can work. I find it so fascinating that even AA, it can work for those people without a faith.
So, how can people who are listening thinking, oh, maybe I'd like to check this out? What are next steps for them? How can they find out about you, your fee scale, your general services that you've talked about?
Yeah. The best way to get a hold of me, number one, I'm on all socials. So I'm on TikTok, I'm on X, I'm on Facebook, I'm on all the socials. But the fastest way to find me is through my website at kmhealthcoaching.org. You can find a whole list under Coach Monica. You can find a whole list of my services, and you'll find my food addiction site on that page as well. On the front page of my website, you will see the tool that I use, which is the Yale Food Addiction Scale. So somebody could go on the front page and say, go down this list of things and say, yes, that's me, or nope, that's not me. So they can get a preview that way. But then I like to talk to people. I want to make sure you're in the right program. I do not want you paying for something that is not a fit for you. So my recommendation is to schedule a free call with me. It's a 30-minute call that I can go and I can ask you the questions. We can talk about what your family structure is, what particularly you need, and then I can give you the right link. My fees are all directed under my Coach Monica's webpage. So you can find, I like people to know up front what it's going to cost them.
Any last words that you would like to leave a listener with?
Want you to have hope. I want you to know I've walked there. I've walked where you're walking. I've struggled with those things that you're facing. And it seems hopeless. It seems like you've tried everything in the book and it seems like you've failed. It just means you haven't found the right tool. There's freedom. Even if you've started and restarted and started again and felt the shame and felt the angst, I want you to know there is a way out and I'm here for you.
Thank you very much, Monica.
Thank you so much, Vera.
Sugar is the enemy, corrupting the minds of the teens, expelling you not to foresee. Your body's your temple, your mind is your key to a life tapped into happiness. Have it, don't dream it. If only you could see it. It's all in you and I. It's all in you and I. It's all in you and I.